Welcome to Venoge Cottage. I'm Mrs. Weaver.
And I'm Mrs. Willard.
And we love to cook. Mrs. Willard, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you, Mrs. Weaver. I have something for you. For both of us. Orange shrub.
And I have something for you.
Christmas greenery.
No, Brandy from the Colonel's stockings. As it is Christmas, we'll be making a traditional dish, roasted green goose. Let's meet our cast of ingredients. 1 green goose, about 12 pounds, 4 onions, green sage, large teacupful of breadcrumbs, butter the size of a walnut, 2 egg yolks beaten, salt and pepper to taste. A green goose is one under 4 months old. That means it will be tender. To begin, cut off both wings at the joints.
It's ready to be patted dry, Mrs. Weaver.
Pat the bird dry and wipe out the inside with a cloth. This allows the spices to cling to the goose during seasoning. To season the bird, we sprinkle in some salt and pepper, making sure to rub it around the interior cavity. Salt and pepper are not the only spices we'll be using. Sage and onions are necessary for the final flavor. You'll mince the onions, cut up the sage. I will watch. Shrub helps me pass the time while Mrs. Willard works her magic. Well, this was a little big, but will it do?
Yes.
Next, add the onions to the bowl. Follow this by stripping the leaves of sage from the branches. Chop them finely and add to the mix.
Mrs. Weaver, can you finish the stuffing?
Yes, ma'am.
It's shrub time. You've already had yours.
To make your stuffing, take the bowl with the sage and onions, add the pepper, followed by the salt. Time now for the breadcrumbs. Toss the mixture well. Butter is also essential for flavor. Using your softened butter, work each piece into the mixture and blend together thoroughly. Here's a tip concerning your goose. When choosing one, look for bills and feet which are yellow and pliable. That means it's young. Those beaten egg yolks are used to hold our stuffing together. Add the yolks and thoroughly blend the mixture again. Your shrub glass is empty.
I didn't think it'd take that long.
Place the stuffing into the bird by handfuls. Keep the mixture tight in the cavity, but not too tight. As it cooks, it will expand. To keep the breast meat moist, we protect it from scorching with greased paper. Also grease the string you will use to tie the bird to the spit. Goose is a fatty bird. That fat will melt inside the skin and puff your Christmas dinner up like a balloon. Pricking the goose with a sharp knife or fork tine will eliminate that potential disaster. Pricking lets the grease escape. Tip: don't throw the grease away. It is excellent for roasting and for use in medicinal rubs. We'll show you how we use that in another episode. Using the greased string, tie the bird securely. Using pins, place the greased papers on each side of the breast. The papers and pins will be removed halfway through roasting. We'll be roasting our bird in a tin kitchen, also known as a reflector oven. Centering the spit in the goose, push it through from front to back. The goose is fastened to the spit with skewers. Our tin kitchen uses 3. Once they are through the spit, tie the bird to it tightly. Our goose is now ready to go in the tin kitchen. Baste it first with a little salt and water and then later with its own gravy. Cook for 2 or 2.5 hours before a brisk fire. The goose is a red meat bird. That means they're done while still slightly pink, or when the interior temperature is about 140 to 150 degrees Fahrenheit. Indeed. Here are some tips for basting the bird. The door can be opened to check progress. You lose heat each time you do, so be as quick as possible. You will want to turn the spit clockwise once every 10 to 15 minutes. That's called clocking. Remember that fat we talked about? We poured off about 1/4 during roasting. The expression, "your goose is cooked," has several origins. One derives from the 15th century martyrdom of Jan Hus, who was burned at the stake. Hus translates to goose.
Oh, Mrs. Weaver, that looks delicious.
Ah, Mrs. Willard, I believe our goose is cooked. Our feast consisted of the goose and dressing, applesauce, sweet potatoes, parsnips, bread, potted cheese, almond cookies, and the Colonel's brandy. The meat was sweet and tender, the dressing tasty. Merry Christmas, Mrs. Willard.
Merry Christmas, Mrs. Weaver.
Mrs. Weaver! By the eternal! Where is my brandy?
I believe this is yours. Today's culinary adventure, roasted green Grinch.
Okay.
Hi, Steve. What's for dinner?
You, if you don't stop playing around.